Have you ever stopped to listen to that voice in your head? The one that never quiets down. The one that judges, criticizes, and comments on even the smallest things. The voice that whispers, "Why did you say that? You should have done more. You're not enough." You hear it so often you've come to believe it's you. But what if it's not? Think about this. From the moment you open your eyes, that voice starts talking. Get up. You're late. Today you have to be better. You failed again yesterday. And so it goes, never stopping. But who's listening? Because if you're the one speaking, then who's the one hearing it? I want you to try an experiment. Close your eyes. Imagine, just for a moment, that everything goes quiet. No words, no thoughts, just silence. In that pure space, who are you? Most people go their entire lives without realizing this. That voice is not you. That mental chatter isn't your essence. It's just an echo, a repetition of everything you've learned to fear, to desire, to avoid. Did you know 95% of your thoughts are automatic? You don't even choose them. They're mental habits, leftovers from past experiences, like a computer program running in the background, day after day. And yet you let that program decide whether you're happy, whether you deserve love, whether you're worthy. But listen closely, you are not that program. You are the one who observes, the one who can see the thought, and yet not obey it. You are the silent witness behind the noise. And in that witness, in that awareness, lies your true power. Now pay attention to this. When you feel anxious, when sadness or fear overwhelms you, what's really affecting you? It's not the situation, it's the interpretation. It's that voice giving shape, color, and weight to the moment. It's the one screaming, "This will go wrong. You can't handle this. You failed again." And here's the revelation few dare to accept. That voice isn't here to help you. It's here to control you. That inner chatter is the filter through which you experience reality. But that filter isn't clean. It's distorted, filled with limiting beliefs, inherited stories that aren't even yours. It's programmed by years of fear, rejection, comparison, and perfectionism. Science confirms it. Most of your thoughts aren't even yours. They're learned patterns, repeated endlessly. And the most alarming part, you believe them without question. Think about it. If someone told you every day that you're useless, that you'll never succeed, that you're not enough, would you keep them as a friend? Would you let them live with you? Then, why do you let that voice live inside you? Because you've confused it with yourself. You've spent so long identifying with its narrative that you've forgotten. You are not what you think. You are the one who watches what you think. And the moment you create even the smallest distance, everything changes. That's where true transformation begins. That's where your freedom starts. Imagine the days you've suffered the most. Days when it felt like the world was collapsing. What hurt the most? The situation, the loss, the failure? No, it was what you told yourself about it. That voice repeating, "This is your fault. You won't recover. All is lost." That voice doesn't narrate facts. It creates stories. And those stories shape how you see yourself. They build you an identity, an invisible prison. But here's the key. You are not those stories. You never were. Buddhism teaches something simple yet powerful. Suffering doesn't come from what happens, but from your attachment to your thoughts. That's why meditation isn't about emptying the mind. It's about learning to observe without reacting. It's realizing you can see a thought without making it your truth. And you can do this. You don't need to be a monk or have years of practice. You just need one moment of honesty with yourself. The next time a negative thought arises, pause and ask, is this true, or is it just my mind playing tricks? Every time you do this, you're dismantling the illusion. You're breaking the spell. You're coming back to yourself. And if what you're hearing now resonates, if something inside you stirs as you recognize these truths, I invite you to join this community. Subscribe now and hit the bell. This isn't just a channel. It's a refuge for awakened minds, for those tired of surviving and ready to live from awareness. Remember this, you are not the voice. You are the one who hears it. And that simple act of noticing, of observing without reacting, is the start of a new life. Because when you stop identifying with every thought that arises, you reclaim the power you'd unknowingly surrendered. That voice loses its grip. It stops dictating who you are, what you're worth, what you deserve. And then, something else emerges, something that was always there but drowned out by the noise. Your true voice, the voice of intuition, calm and wisdom. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And to hear it, you need inner silence. This is where everything shifts, because in that space, free of judgment, free of narrative, you begin to feel something new, freedom. You're no longer a slave to your mind, you're its master. Take Anna for example. Every night, dark thoughts attacked her. I'm not enough, everything's my fault. Until one day she asked, what if that voice is lying? That was the start of her awakening. You can do it too. Not tomorrow, not later, tonight. All you need is one night to change your life. One night of silence, of observation, of decision. One night to sit with yourself, face that voice, and tell it, I don't believe you anymore. And if this message has touched something deep in you, share it. You never know who might need to hear it. Someone you know might also need to stop believing their mind. Most people think they need to change their thoughts to change their life, but that's only half the truth. What you really need is to stop believing everything you think. Every negative thought you accept as true. Chains you a little tighter. And the worst part, those chains are invisible. That's why they're so hard to break. You don't even know you're bound. But there's a way to start freeing yourself. It's simple, though not easy. Begin observing your thoughts, as if they weren't yours. Like clouds passing in the sky. Some days they're gray, others stormy. But you are the sky, not the clouds. When you learn to watch your mind from the outside, something powerful happens. You stop being a victim. You become a witness. And in that witness lies the peace, clarity, and strength you've always sought. Want a practical tool? Here's one. Every time your mind throws criticism, doubt or threats, respond mentally with thanks for your opinion. But I choose. That's it. One phrase, one intention, one act of rebellion against the old system that's ruled you from within. Because you're not here to wage war with your mind. You're here to remember you're far more than your thoughts. You're the awareness that holds them. And that awareness, it doesn't fear, it simply is. As you detach from that inner voice, something inside you begins to bloom. The ability to inhabit the present. And I'm not talking about spiritual cliches. I mean a real transformative skill. Being here fully, without your mind dragging you to the past or projecting you into the future. Because that's what the voice does. It reminds you of past mistakes, warns of future disasters, but never lets you live now, never lets you breathe in peace. And if you pause to observe, you'll notice the present is all that exists. The past is gone. The future hasn't arrived. You only have this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. And here's the beautiful part, in the present, that voice loses power, because it can't operate without fear, guilt, or anxiety. It only thrives in unconsciousness. And you're waking up. Try this today. When you walk, really walk. Feel your steps. Hear the sounds around you. Sense the air entering your nose. Witness life without interference. And every time your mind tries to pull you back into its stories, smile and return here. That's the practice. Simple yet powerful. Every moment you consciously choose presence is a victory over mental chatter. A revolution from within. Remember, you are not your thoughts, not your emotions. You're the space where they occur. And in that space, there's peace. There's something in you that never changes. Something that's been there since you were a child. It's not your name, your body, or your ideas. It's the awareness that's witnessed every stage of your life. Every emotion, every thought. That's who you are. And yet you've confused yourself with everything you're not. With your achievements, failures, fears, traumas. You've let that voice define your story, as if it were the only valid narrator. But that voice is just a part, not the whole. Your authentic self doesn't need to speak, doesn't need to defend itself, doesn't seek recognition. It just wants you to remember it, to listen beyond the noise, to return to it when all else fails. Do you realize how exhausting it is to maintain an identity based on thoughts? It's like acting out a character day after day, just to meet the expectations your mind created. But when you drop that mask, something magical happens. You come home, you return to yourself, and from that place, decisions become clearer. Love feels more real, and fear loses its grip. This doesn't mean you'll never have negative thoughts again. It means you won't get lost in them. You'll see them as visitors that come and go. No need to invite them to stay. This is how you live from your authentic self, in presence, honesty, peace. You don't need to prove anything. Just remember who you've always been, beyond the voice. But how do you stay in this state of awareness when the world demands the opposite? When external voices, family, social media, society, join that inner voice to remind you what you should be, do, or have? The answer isn't fighting the noise, it's strengthening the inner silence. Because silence isn't emptiness, it's presence, it's power. Every time you choose not to react, not to defend, not to justify, you grow in awareness. You build a foundation where the mind can't manipulate you so easily. Have you noticed the wisest people don't need to talk much? Because they're anchored. They live from being, not from thinking. You can anchor yourself too. It starts with one gesture: pause, observe, and breathe. External chaos can't touch you if your inner world is calm. That calm is your shield, your refuge, your truth. And if you ever feel yourself slipping, if the mind drags you back into its traps, don't punish yourself. Just watch and begin again. Every fall is a chance to remember who you are. You're not the one who fails. You're the one who notices. And that changes everything. Here's a radical proposal. Stop searching outside for what can only arise within. That emptiness, that unexplained anxiety, it isn't filled by achievements or people. It dissolves when you return to yourself. As long as you expect something external to complete you, you'll be at the mercy of mental chatter, because it thrives on lack, on not yet, on when I have this, I'll be happy. But real happiness doesn't shout, it doesn't negotiate, it isn't chased. It simply appears when you stop running. And the beautiful part, it's already in you. It's just buried under layers of thought. That's why meditation, art, nature move us. They return us to that state where there's nothing to prove. Pause. Turn off the noise. Look with fresh eyes. That voice telling you you're not enough doesn't know who you are. And if this message reminds you of something you once knew but forgot, share it. Someone needs to hear this today. Someone who feels lost and just needs a sign to come back to themselves. You don't need 1,000 answers. Sometimes, one well-asked question is enough to begin the journey home. Who is listening to the voice in my head? Ask this daily, not for an intellectual answer, but to break the spell of identification. Because as long as you believe you are the voice, you'll suffer its stories. But when you ask, who's listening? Something opens, like turning on a light in a room that's been dark for years. Then the pain doesn't disappear, but it no longer defines you. Thoughts keep coming, but they no longer rule you. You start living from the root, not the branches, from the center, not the periphery. And living from there transforms everything. Your relationships, your choices, how you walk through the world. You no longer react, you respond. You no longer justify, you simply are. That's why this isn't just a reflection, it's a practice, a path. And if you've made it this far, it's no accident. Something in you already knows. Something wants to wake up from the mind's dream. You've spent years educating your mind, learning concepts, techniques, facts. But how much time have you spent knowing yourself? Not the persona, the real you. The one that's still there when everything falls apart. We're trapped in masks. The strong one, the successful one. The one who can handle anything. And inside, exhausted, confused, feeling like a fraud. The mental chatter feeds those masks, reinforces them, protects them, because it fears what would happen if you took them off. But what you'd find underneath isn't weakness, it's truth. And truth, though uncomfortable at first, eventually liberates. Today I invite you to do something brave. Start letting go of what you're not. You don't have to do it all at once. Just one thought at a time, one belief at a time. And each time you do, each time you release a judgment, a fear, a demand. You come closer to yourself, closer to peace, closer to that night when everything changes. Inner freedom doesn't arrive with noise. It comes with clarity. And clarity appears when you finally stop to observe, without interfering, without trying to control everything inside you. Because true mastery isn't controlling your thoughts, it's ceasing to be enslaved by them. Look, no one taught us to think less. They taught us to think more, to solve, to analyze, to anticipate. But no one taught us to rest from our own minds. And without that rest, life becomes exhausting. That's why so many live in constant stress, even when everything around them is fine. Because what consumes them isn't the world, it's their inner dialogue. Imagine living without that weight, without every mistake becoming a condemnation, every doubt paralyzing you. Imagine hearing your mind, without having to obey it. That's freedom, and it's more possible than you think. Start today. Don't change everything. Just change your relationship with your mind. Be like the sky watching clouds, clinging to none. And remember, every thought you don't believe is a step toward peace. Every story you question is a broken chain. There's something deeply healing in knowing you don't have to earn your peace. You don't have to solve all your problems first. Don't have to become better. You just have to stop identifying with that voice, insisting you're not enough yet, because you are. You always have been. That voice compares you to others, reminds you of flaws, makes you chase achievements. So maybe one day, you'll feel at peace. But peace isn't a destination. It's a place you can return to any time. If you dare to drop the judgment, breathe, come back here. Stop running from yourself. You don't have to fight to prove your worth. Don't have to fix yourself. You just have to stop mistaking yourself for the noise. Your essence is already whole. It's that silent, luminous space that remains, even when you're broken. And in that silence, you recognize yourself. You remember. You reunite with you. And finally, after all the noise, you can rest in yourself. Many think awakening is a mystical event, something distant, reserved for gurus. But awakening is simply this, realizing you are not your mind. That moment, however small, changes everything. Because from then on, every time the voice whispers fear, you'll know you don't have to believe it. And that gives you an edge. Few have. You no longer react from pain, from wounded ego, from lack. You act from the center, from stillness, from clarity. Living this way doesn't mean not feeling. It means feeling everything, without losing yourself in any of it. And every day, you'll get another chance to remember. Because the mind will return, as it always does. And so will you, but different. More awake, more you. That's the game of awareness, forgetting and remembering, losing and finding, falling and rising. Don't judge yourself for forgetting. Just keep remembering. Because in every remembrance lies your liberation. Tonight, when you're alone in your room, get quiet, turn off your phone, dim the lights, close your eyes, and listen. That voice will come. It'll say the usual things, with the same force, the same words. But this time, instead of fighting it, just watch it, as if it weren't yours. Don't push it, don't hate it, just look, and breathe. And amid that noise, something else will appear. A background, a deeper layer, a stillness that's always been there, waiting for you to discover it. That stillness is you, not the persona, not the drama, you. And when you feel it, even for a second, you'll know everything can change. Not because the world changes, but because you finally come home to yourself. One night is enough. One night of presence. One night of honesty with yourself. And that night could be tonight. Before we end, here's a simple but powerful truth. You don't have to believe everything you think. That sentence, though obvious, can free you from years of suffering. Because often, it's not life that hurts. It's the story your mind built about life. The problem isn't what happened, but what the voice said about it. The judgment, the interpretation, the condemnation. But if you're the observer, you can choose which stories to believe. Or better yet, you can stop needing a story to feel at peace. You don't need to understand everything. Don't need to control anything. You just need to trust there's something in you deeper than any thought, wiser than any advice, stronger than any fear. And that part of you isn't broken.
It never was. It was just covered by the voice. Mental chatter doesn't stop by force. It dissolves with awareness. You don't need to yell at your mind. Don't need to convince it. You just need to stop obeying it. And little by little, with no one to control, it weakens. That doesn't mean it leaves. It means you're no longer its prisoner. Remember, the voice's power lies in your identification with it. But when you observe, when you separate, when you stop acting as if its words were truth, something breaks. And that break is sacred. You're far more than thoughts. You're the presence observing them. And that presence doesn't fear, doesn't judge, doesn't doubt. It just is. So next time your mind tries to trap you with old stories, don't fight. Don't try to win. Just silently say, I hear you, but I don't believe you anymore. Do this daily, patiently, lovingly, and you'll see how, without realizing it, you start living from another place. A place more serene, more real, more you. Now, as we close this journey together, one last question. If you're not that voice, then who are you? That question has no single answer, but every time you ask it, you'll move closer to your essence. And every time someone else asks it, the world becomes a little freer, a little more awake. So I invite you to share your answer below. It's okay if you're unsure. Right from the heart. This isn't just a channel, it's a community of seekers, souls longing to remember who they truly are. And if this video resonated, if it helped you see something new, subscribe and hit the bell. What's coming isn't just content, it's awakening, awareness, truth. And if dark thoughts ever trap you again, just pause, smile, and say thanks for your opinion, but I've already woken up. See you in the next video. Until then, remember, you're not the voice, you're the one who hears it. And that simple act can change your life forever.